In our previous video, we have seen the complete setup for Django, and in this tutorial, we'll be dealing with the hands-on practice on views, settings, and urls.py, and also we look at some important things that you need to know in Django. Welcome to part 2 of our React Django series. Yeah, let's get this party started. Now we are going to handle URLs, views, and settings. Uh, Open up our terminal and say python space manage dot py run server to start your server in development. Yeah, and now in settings.py there is much more to explore, but you don't bother about it. We just have to use the existing, and we need to add some few changes so that you can make your work easier. Go to install apps and add your app name. In my case it's app, right? So say app and give it a comma. Don't forget commas, guys. It will uh, make you feel regret later. Okay, control S to save this. You need to manually save this. Okay, and views.py, urls.py. Let's keep it aside. Yeah, first we need to talk about views.py. Let's start with a simple hello world program. uh, so views are of two types. You can make a class based view or a function based view. In Python we have classes and functions, right? We use functions right here. So define say index of request. You need to pass request as a parameter, okay? And return the response. No, we need to return http response, and that's hello world. But where does this http response came from? We need to import it from django.http. We import http response, and this will print hello world. And when you define a view, you need to attach a url for it. So go to this urls and import the views, and the views is currently in your app, right? So import from app, import views, and now use the view you have imported. Path of, you don't have to worry about it, you have already path imported. And within your path, say it is as this single quotations with nothing inside it represent you uh, the root page of your entire project. Okay, and we go with views.index. Views, wait, control S to save. Okay, in our root project we are going to use views.index. So from views we have index created, and in urls we are binding it with a url. Just nothing, it's a root folder. Now go to your development server and just make a refresh. Yeah, you can see the word hello world is printed. Okay, so we just did some just a few lines of code, right? We make a view and bind that view with a path, url path. And let's create another view. Say in this case I'll say define first page and passing a request parameter that request your web page to show this message, and we return a http response and say you are at first page, and control S to save. and urls.py and give it a path f page slash and it's views dot we made it with f page, right? So f page, and don't forget comma here. Make it save and go to your server and type slash f page and hit enter. Okay, it's FOAG. I'm sorry. Previously, it was a spelling mistake, maybe. No worries. Yeah, you are at your first page, and let me correct this F page. See, simple. Even a single one can change everything. Single spelling mistake, right? And yeah, but a simple messages is not enough, right? We have to, we need to show some pages in our web page. Then we use render element right here. Then let me show you. We make, firstly, go to your app folder. In my case it's app. Right click on it and create a new folder called templates. Remember, you better give it a template because Django takes templates folder. It searches for templates folder and it takes, HTML pages and related things from templates itself. And right click on it, create a new file, say index.html file and HTML5. Just give it a simple heading. Say this is index page, and previously in our views we have index, right? Change it to index message because this index page and this index should not be collided, right? And give it a message, and we create a new definition that defines this index.html page and define index, and we give a request and return. We don't pass a message. It's not a http response. It's not a http response, right? It's a render. We need to render elements inside it because in case of render we may have elements, we may have buttons and everything related in that document, right? And we pass request, the parameter that is requested, and we'll pass it and the name of our file, which is index.html file, right? Yeah, that's it. And make a save. I think you need to make it in a double quotes or else a single quote, and save this and go to your urls.py. In your case, this is index, right? Previously, this is index, but now this is your index. Okay, see this carefully. This is not, this is message right now. This is our index. Now we are returning, rendering the index.html file. Now in this URL, we'll see index page, the HTML file, but not this message. Now let me show you. Why is this going to this page? We just need this. My system is getting slow, guys. F page. Why is this? Okay, we have made a message F page, but there is no F page anyhow. which is fpage message, and save this. Yeah, even small changes do matter, guys. Now click on it. Yeah, this is an index page. You are inside your index page right now. That's how you render pages in your Django, and make sure that your page is inside the template. If you won't give template and if you give any other names, I'm sure Django will not consider it. Okay, make sure that the project, the folder is template, and all your HTML files are inside this. But we don't use some rough HTML file, right? We will add stylings to it. What about stylings? Let me tell you this one. Actually, we use link and href hyperreference and styles.css, which is a simple one we use in web development. But in case of Django, it doesn't work actually. So let me tell you in brief. So yeah, this is your project, right? And you have app and your project, the backend related. In the same folder itself, you need to create a new folder, which is called a static folder. But why is static? If you go down your settings, settings.py file, you will see static URL, right? This static URL represents your static folder. It is already defined a folder which is static, right? In Django, you comes with some predefined configuration, which is basic setup we have seen previously. So we use that basic setup and go along with the setup. If you change something inside your setup, it may cause drastic changes. So make sure you are following that configuration Django has given to you. So we have static URL, which is static folder. It is pointing to, and this is our static folder. And inside this static folder, we need to add the simple following code. Just import the OS. Just import the OS and go with the following codes. We have already static URL, right? And along with this static URL, you need to write static file directories, like the directory of your static file. You need to make a, you need to add part to that static folder, and say do this using, make sure it is in caps lock, in capital letters. Static dies, sorry, it is static files underscore dies. So static file directories, and make a array of static file directories, because there could be many directories of that static files, right? If your project is large enough. And we have imported OS, right? Using that OS dot path dot join of, we are going to join the path to the base directory, and say base directory. And for this base directory, we are going to add the static folder, right? Say static. That's it. Control S to save your changes. You just did nothing. You just have the static URL already. You just gave your path, and along with base directory, you added static folder, right? That's it. Make sure your static folder is right here. In my static folder, you can have, which you can have images, you can have JavaScript, you can have some plugins, and you can also have stylings. So styles images, and some others. But let's consider styles and images. So inside your styles, let's create a file which is styles.css. So for the index we have created right here, we are going to add styles right in this place. Okay, you cannot add styles directly in your HTML in index file likewise. So when you want to link externally, you need to do this. But if you are going to use within your page itself, you can do this for free, like scripts and directly. But it doesn't work in this in case of Django. So go for styles. We have heading, right? Heading 1 and say color. Give it color. Color. What happened? Color is to some aqua. Background image is to some linear gradient, and font size is to, or else font family, something like maybe this one, and save it. Go to your index.html. If you see, this is styles.css. We have now added styles, and we have now uh, added configurations in settings.py file, and made a static folder which has some styles folder inside it, and we have styles.css, right? And we have styles imported right here in our index.html. Now let's see, let's run our project. It's already running, right? And let's refresh it. What happened to styling? If you can see, it hasn't get the styles folder right now. So what happened? So this is not the way you need to use styling. In case of Django, you need to use the following way to include styles in your project folder. So static, inside this, see, here is your static folder. You have styles folder. So styles slash your name of the style sheet, styles.css, and make it a save. Go to URLs, save it, views, save it, settings, save, styles, and index are now saved. Let's see if it works right now. Let's reload the page. No, it's saying, did you forget to register or load this tag? What's happening wrong? Like what's happening right here is, you need to load the styles again. You can simply say styles.css. You need to use this particular syntax, and you cannot directly say uh, like I have added styles, just load it. No, it won't. You need to explicitly say load the styles. So use this notation and two percentages inside this, load styles. Sorry, it's load static. Control S to save. Now so something is wrong with this line number 11. Let me check this out. Actually, our static folder should be along with templates folder in our app. So move it to our app folder. Now stop our server and restart it again. Your server runs with styling in this case. and I have wrongly entered the file extension, so just change it. Now your project should work fine. And now let's see how you can reuse the components. So let's create a component and call that component from another file, and let's see how it works. uh, List where we are. So activate your environment env slash scripts, activate. Now run your development server. So for this, python space manage py run server. I'm sorry, we need to move into our project folder, right, which is my project. Now run the command python space manage.py run server, and it will start the development server for you for your project. And yeah, this is what we have made right previously, and we moved this static folder from out of the scope into templates and static folder being the same folder, which is app. Now let's create a component. For this, you need to create a folder called components inside your templates folder. Say components, and inside your components you can create any number of components. Actually, component is something that you need to that is very needed in your entire project, and you call it many times, several number of times. So it is hard to write entire code every time, right? So to reduce this, we go with component section, so that you write once, you code once, and call that wherever you want in your pages. Say form template dot html. It's a html file, and this is a form, and the code for this form I have already made, and this is a form component. Okay, form template, whatever it is. Okay, we'll name it a form component itself, because it's a component, right? Form component. Save this. Let's start from index page itself. Let's import the component into index.html file. So for this, you need to follow this Jinja template. Okay, and Jinja style percentages, and include within the single quotes components slash form component.html, because this is inside your components folder, right? And that is inside templates, of course. And so this will become your path. You need to include this path, and this is what our html file is, remember. And control s to save, and go to your development server. This is what previously just make a refresh. You can see name and email and submit button. This is what the form we have created, right? And that was included. Okay, let's give a try. Let's create another component. Say nothing.html, html5. Let's create a div and say this is a nothing component. Let's call this from here nothing.html. Control s to save. F5. This is a nothing component. And have you seen one thing? Like, we have just created a nothing.html component, and we haven't given any views or any URLs for this, right? But even it worked, because we are not going into any other page, right? So to render that elements on that page, we are just calling it. So even if you want create a URL I mean a URL and view for this, the components do work. And this is how you import components into your any folder, any file you want, so that you will have no redundancy in code, in writing codes. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. If you like the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.